I met Sophia 6 years ago at a mutual friend's party. Back then, she was spontaneous, fiery, and completely unpredictable. The kind of woman who could make the most ordinary day feel like an adventure. I, on the other hand, was cautious, grounded, predictable. People called us mismatched, but somehow it worked, or so I thought. For the first few years, our relationship was everything I imagined. Laughter, late-night talks, weekend getaways. But gradually, the spark dimmed. I noticed subtle changes. Her phone always face down, long drives she didn't explain, sudden girls' nights that lasted hours. I asked questions, lightly, jokingly, even seriously at times. She brushed them off, always with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. One night, I came home earlier than usual and saw her phone buzzing. The name made my stomach drop. Caleb, a thrill seeker she had casually dated 2 years before me. My heart sank when I read the messages. Flirtatious, secretive, full of plans and laughs that should have been mine to share. I didn't confront her immediately. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. Instead, I did what I do best. I observed. I waited, noting patterns, conversations, excuses, lies. I needed the truth, and I was patient enough to let it show itself. Weeks passed, and I realized she was seeking something she thought she couldn't get with me. Adrenaline, unpredictability, a rush, not love, not connection, but something fleeting, something dangerous, something that thrilled her enough to risk us. Finally, one evening, I asked her casually, sipping my coffee in the kitchen. "You've been busy, huh? Lots of excitement lately." She laughed nervously, brushing her hair behind her ear. "Oh, just life. Nothing serious." But her fingers betrayed her, scrolling quickly through her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. I didn't say a word. Instead, I simply smiled. That smile wasn't joy. It was quiet, controlled. And in that moment, I decided I would let her ride her little thrill all the way to the point where she realized what she truly wanted. That night, I went to bed early, leaving the apartment silent. I knew one day her reckoning would come, and I would be there when it did. Over the next few weeks, Sophia's escapades escalated. Weekend trips that just happened turned into late-night texts filled with laughter and emojis I didn't recognize. She spoke of Caleb casually, as if he were a minor character in her story. But I could see the excitement in her eyes. The same thrill I'd once loved about her, now directed elsewhere. I kept my distance, not out of spite, but strategy. I didn't want to fight, didn't want to beg, didn't want to push her into explaining herself. I simply lived my life, focused on work, friends, and keeping my world steady. But every time she returned home, the dynamic suddenly shifted. Her energy, once untouchable, now carried a tinge of hesitation. A subtle weight I hadn't noticed before. One Friday night, she came home later than usual. The apartment smelled faintly of perfume I didn't recognize. I was already sitting at the kitchen table, a glass of water in my hand, reading emails. She paused at the doorway, caught my gaze, and froze for a heartbeat. "You're home early," she said, trying to keep her tone casual. "I didn't have plans," I replied simply, eyes meeting hers. There was a long silence. One she tried to fill with small talk, questions about my day, a forced laugh, but I ignored it. I wanted her to feel the space she had been creating all these weeks, the emotional distance she thought she could control. Then 2 nights later, I made a small but deliberate change. I didn't answer her texts immediately. I didn't initiate conversation. I maintained my routines, my calm, my indifference. The thrill she had chased with Caleb suddenly started to lose its charm. She called once, twice, and finally came home with a nervous, unsettled energy I had never seen before. "What's wrong?" I asked quietly, noticing the way her hands fidgeted. She hesitated, then admitted, I don't know. I feel restless. Everything feels different." I smiled faintly, the calm in my tone a stark contrast to her panic. "Maybe it's because you've been chasing excitement outside what really matters. Maybe you're realizing that the rush isn't worth losing stability, trust, or love." Her eyes widened slightly. There was fear there, but also realization. The spark she had thought only Caleb could give her was missing something crucial, something I had always provided without even trying: presence, patience, and unwavering consistency. I watched her process that, letting the silence stretch, knowing she was beginning to see the truth. And deep down, I knew she would come back to the only place she had ever felt truly safe and wanted. By the end of the week, Sophia's behavior had shifted noticeably. She no longer came home with that careless excitement, that smug confidence in her little adventures. Instead, she arrived tense, unsure, constantly glancing at me as if measuring my reactions. The woman who had once sought thrills at any cost now seemed to be searching for something else, and it wasn't Caleb. One evening, I was in the living room quietly reading when she appeared in the doorway. Her hair was damp from a hurried shower, clothes slightly disheveled, and eyes wide, almost vulnerable. "Nathan," she began, her voice soft, hesitant. "Can we talk?" I set my book down and looked at her calmly. "Of course," I said. My tone was even, patient, but there was a firmness beneath it she hadn't felt in weeks. She sat across from me, hands clasped, twisting nervously. I didn't realize what I had. I thought chasing something exciting would make me happier. But I feel empty. Every time I try, I just end up thinking about how stable, how safe, how present you are. I can't ignore that anymore." I listened without interrupting, letting her words settle. This was the reckoning I had known would come. The moment she realized that thrills fade, but trust, loyalty, and consistency endure. She took a deep breath. "I was wrong, Nathan. I didn't mean to hurt you. I thought I wanted the excitement, but it's you I can't live without. I need you. I finally see that." I leaned back slightly, studying her, letting her sincerity reach me. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt in the same way. I felt clarity. "Sophia," I said slowly, "it's not just about wanting me. It's about recognizing what matters. You can't go back and erase the choices you made, but you can choose now what you do next." Her eyes filled with tears. "I'll do whatever it takes. I just want us back." I smiled faintly, a mix of relief and caution. "Then start by being honest. No more thrills, no more lies. Earn back the trust you lost. Show me that your words are backed by actions." She nodded, her expression resolute now, a mixture of regret and determination. For the first time, I felt she truly understood the consequences of her actions. That cheating for excitement came with a price, and the only way forward was through transparency, commitment, and genuine effort. That night, we didn't talk much. We didn't need to. Silence was enough. For the first time in months, the apartment felt whole again. Not because the thrill was back, but because reality had finally set in. And for Sophia, it was a lesson she would never forget. Chasing momentary excitement might satisfy desire, but true fulfillment, true attachment, could only come from someone who had always been there, quietly waiting for her to realize it.